Imagine a man wanted for murder, on the run for 20 years, only to be found hiding in plain sight as a police officer in Mexico. This is the shocking story of Antonio El Diablo Riano, a fugitive, a killer, and the devil who finally met justice. Antonio Riano was born in a quiet, dusty town called Zapotitlan Palmas in the southern Mexican state of Oaxaca. The town's narrow streets, small houses, and close-knit families gave the appearance of simplicity and peace. From the outside, Antonio seemed like any other boy growing up there, playing in the streets, helping his family, and dreaming of a better life. But those who truly knew him spoke of a different side, a side that was fiery, impulsive, and sometimes uncontrollable. This part of him would follow him far beyond his hometown, shaping the decisions and choices that would define the rest of his life. As a young man, Antonio moved to the United States, now seeking opportunities and a life different from the small-town routine he knew. He settled near Cincinnati, Ohio, a bustling city that promised work, community, and the possibility of building a future. Friends described him as charming, confident, and witty, someone who could make you laugh within minutes of meeting him. But they also warned that he could be unpredictable. Arguments could escalate quickly, tempers could flare. His name is Antonio Riano, but the world knew him as El Diablo, the devil. By 2004, Antonio had established a routine in Hamilton, a suburban town near Cincinnati. He had made a few friends, found local bars to frequent, and seemed to be living a relatively normal life. Yet beneath this surface, the tensions of the past and his temperament were brewing a storm that would soon erupt in tragedy. On December 19th, when everything changed with a single argument at a local bar called the Roundhouse. That one confrontation would ignite a chain of events that spanned 2 decades, 2 countries, and would ultimately lead to one of the most remarkable manhunts in modern American history. On that fateful afternoon inside the Roundhouse bar, 25-year-old Benjamin Becerra and Antonio Riano's paths crossed. Witnesses later recalled that the two men had exchanged words before, weeks earlier. That day, Becerra returned to the bar, unaware of the dangerous encounter that awaited him. Antonio, who was helping the bartender at the time, became involved in an argument with Becerra. According to the accounts of the bar staff and witnesses, what might have started as a simple disagreement quickly escalated. The bartender intervened, instructing both men to take their argument outside. But once outside, surveillance cameras captured a chilling sequence. Antonio Riano reached around Benjamin Becerra and fired a gun at close range. The bullet struck Becerra in the face, killing him instantly on the sidewalk in front of horrified bystanders. Investigators pieced together the crime with meticulous precision. They discovered that Riano had purchased ammunition just hours before at a nearby Walmart. 10 days after the shooting, the murder weapon, a Smith & Wesson Model 10.38 pistol, was recovered from a hidden compartment beneath the floorboards of his apartment. The pistol contained 4 intact bullets and 2 fired rounds, matching the ammunition found at the scene. With witness statements, surveillance footage, and the recovered weapon, the evidence was overwhelming. Yet Antonio Riano vanished immediately after the shooting, driving away in his van and leaving investigators grasping at shadows. Riano's flight began in New Jersey, where he briefly stayed with relatives, before returning to his hometown of Zapotitlan Palmas in Mexico. Over the next 2 decades, he would live under the radar, avoiding detection by authorities in the US and blending into Mexican society. His name appeared on the Butler County Sheriff's Office Most Wanted list, and in 2005, he was even featured on the popular television program America's Most Wanted. Over the years, detectives pursued every lead. In following tips, reviewing evidence, and investigating every possible connection, yet Riano remained elusive. Authorities later discovered that Riano had used multiple false identities and documents to conceal his location. He moved quietly, blending into neighborhoods, taking up employment that would allow him to stay under the radar. The most shocking revelation came years later. He had become a police officer in his own hometown. This position gave him authority, legitimacy, and a degree of protection, enabling him to live openly while remaining virtually invisible to law enforcement agencies searching for him abroad. For years, former Butler County Deputy Paul Newton had worked tirelessly on the case. Even after decades passed, he refused to abandon the search. Using modern technology, online databases, and social media, Newton began piecing together fragments of information that others might have overlooked. Finally, in January 2024, the breakthrough came. Riano's Facebook profile revealed his location in Oaxaca, Mexico, and confirmed that he was serving as a local police officer. And Newton remembers the moment vividly. "My God, there he is," he said. The fugitive who had eluded justice for 20 years had been hiding in plain sight. Once authorities pinpointed Riano's location, an intricate operation began. Coordination between the U.S. Department of Justice's Office of International Affairs, the U.S. Marshals Service, and Mexican law enforcement was essential. Preparing for the arrest required years of work, collecting affidavits, witness statements, certified documents, and autopsy reports, surveillance footage, and confirming fingerprints. Every detail needed to be exact. One mistake could allow Riano to slip away once more. Finally, on a Thursday afternoon, U.S. Marshals moved in. Riano was arrested in Mexico and transferred to federal authorities. He was flown across thousands of miles, landing at the Cincinnati/Northern Kentucky International Airport, where he was escorted to Hamilton Police Department before being booked into Butler County Jail at 7:47 p.m. The fugitive, once untouchable, was finally in custody. During the trial, witnesses, investigators, and bar staff recounted the events leading up to Benjamin Becerra's murder. Surveillance footage and the recovered pistol were presented as critical evidence. Throughout the proceedings, Riano maintained his composure. When asked why he had become a police officer in Mexico, he replied, "I wanted to help the people of Mexico." When questioned about the murder, he stated, "No, I did not." On June 13, 2025, the jury reached a verdict. Antonio Riano was found guilty of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to 18 years to life, reflecting the severity of his actions and the decades of pain endured by Becerra's family. For law enforcement officers who had never given up, it was a moment of closure. For the victim's family, it was the end of a 20-year nightmare. Antonio Riano's story is not just about crime and punishment. It is a testament to persistence and determination and modern investigative techniques. It is about a fugitive who vanished for 20 years, evaded justice, and even became a law enforcer in Mexico, only to be finally captured and held accountable. His case leaves us with questions we may never fully answer. How did he live undetected for so long? Why did he assume the role of a police officer while on the run? What drives a man to commit a violent act and evade justice for decades? Conclusion: this case shows us the power of persistence, teamwork, and modern investigative tools. It also reminds us that even the most cunning fugitive cannot escape justice forever. Antonio Riano may have run for 20 years, but in the end, the law caught up. For those seeking answers, for those chasing the truth, this story is a lesson. Never give up, never stop searching, and always remember, justice will find you. If you were shocked by this story, leave a comment below. Share this video, hit subscribe and turn on notifications because there are more stories you won't believe waiting to be told.